Alright, I'm just gonna jump back on this and act like the past few months were the thing. And I did not go ghost or anything in my other platforms. So, how you guys doing? I'm Karan. This is Music Stuff Podcast once again. And, I kind of started taking a little bit of different direction in the past month, really. And, I was looking at a lot of things that I just don't usually look into. I don't usually put energy into, put attention into. So I was like, you know what? Let me just look into some things. And I think one thing that I started to observe, I think, was TikTok. Especially the music side, the artistic side of TikTok. And one thing I really realized in that community, if you can call it that, well, yeah, it's a community. Is the songs that they're singing. Some of them are good. Some of them I knew before, but a lot of them, I'm like, oh, well, this is a newer song. But then I started realizing, the more I listen to it, oh, these are like all the same songs. Everyone's singing the same songs. And it's not really that bad, but I started to be a little sad, or a little like, I felt like they were leaving out so much more, especially when you have artists on there that's trying to show their talent and their versatility, but sing the same types of songs. And it was like, oh, well, where are these other songs? Where's the 90s R&B? Where's like Kim or Mr. Telephone Man? Songs that can be a little bit more challenging because of the way the voice type is. And I just don't see it out there that much. And I think some of these songs should be songs that these TikTok artists should be singing more. Why not sing a more rare song, a song that not a lot of your fans aren't really going to know, to show versatility and to introduce your fans to another type of genre or another style of music. To me, I think it just makes sense. It does. And I think one thing that I've been seeing a lot as well was, I remember a few years back, especially when I lived in Harrisburg, indie music was a thing that everyone, not listened to, but everyone knew about. And when you meet an artist, most likely they were an indie style of artist. And I think one of those reasons is because indie is a little bit easier to get into and to perform. There's not a whole lot going on. It's very raw and very instrumental based, so you don't have to do a whole lot to sing an indie song. And a lot of people's voices usually fit indie music well. That breathy style of music that a lot of people fall into nowadays, or start singing like, that's very indie. But I don't see that as much on TikTok as much as people that are more popular. You tend to still see, the things that we saw in past in music. These artists that have these really big voices and that can really belt and do a lot of things that you wish you could do are the ones that are looked at more, or are the ones that get more attention. But every time I see that, I just think, in the music industry, how does that correlate into sales? How does that correlate into actual attention? Are these types of artists the ones that get the most sales, or the most attention when it comes to song making? And that can be a question for another day, but I think that's one thing to think about, especially in this TikTok era where you have people that's starting to come out with originals or starting to show some original talent when terms of songwriting. Um, but the issue that well, it may not be an issue, but the one thing that I see that sometimes lacks, and who am I, right? I'm just another guy, but from a lot of people that I know that are in the music business, the one thing that started to change their point of view or their style was by listening to, it was basically doing research, being more of a historian, being more of a uh, multifaceted artist, trying to understand how people sing differently, how people are inspired differently, how music can be changed. And I think sometimes those are the artists that can come out on top. I mean, me and my friends always talk about, Drake, and how I'm not really the biggest fan of Drake nowadays. But ever since Views, basically, I just was like, nah, I'm not. I kind of just saw the area he was going to. I just wasn't feeling it, but I had to respect it. He brought that Afro beat style, that reggae pop style to the forefront. Wasn't like it wasn't already there, but it wasn't mainstream. It wasn't highly marketed. And he by him, going into these areas and understand this other type of music, he was able to take it and put it in a package where it could become marketable. It could commercially sell. And I just think that the formula is right there sometimes for these artists, but maybe it's because of the age. It takes time to be more exposed to things in life, to expose experiences. Like, I didn't really become very, very big into hip hop probably until freshman year of college, even though I've been around hip hop all my life. I didn't expose myself to all areas of hip hop really until I went to college. And yeah, so it may be the same for others. How are you able to, what's the time period going to take to grow as an artist? And even before I get further into that, another big thing that I've been seeing is, are these people are these people actually even singing? And I think this gets into the purpose of you're why you're making the video. Man, oh man. And it when you when you especially get into a more business environment and you start to understand, intellectual property and etc., you start to see on a minor scale, especially nowadays because of the social media era that we live in. It's so easy to create content, which in turn means it's so easy for content to be stolen. I think people need to understand that when you have a platform that allows you to be have a be on a platform where you can easily reach out to people. People can easily consume what you're creating, like a YouTube, like a Twitch, and all these other things. You have to also understand the intellectual property that you have is minute. Because if you can do it, then why can't someone just repost what you've already done? Your content most likely is not copywritten. It's most likely not, trademarked, because that takes a process. What you're creating can be instant. What in order to make it quote unquote legitimate needs a process that takes too long. So when and it sucks. I saw the video with the girl that did the cover of New York with Alicia Keys, Jay-Z, was watching one of these music coaches that kind of showed that he was analyzing some TikTok music videos, like artists, and he realized that some of these people actually weren't singing. And he went to find the original person. And it really sucks because the original person had a great voice. Obviously, their video was not as big as the other videos that took her song, that took her cover, and reenacted it without giving her any credit. But because we're on these platforms, that's almost expected. You have to expect that to occur. You have to expect because the platform that you're on, that it can be easily taken. I still remember back, I don't know, when was that, 2012, maybe 2013, when Instagram had to basically redo their policy when it came to who could use your pictures. Because I remember when I first went on Instagram, I think 2012, there were a lot of photographers, like tons of photographers that were using Instagram, and they had some amazing pictures. I mean, they were ridiculous. But now you have this thing where, okay, well, now you're more known as being a photographer, but are you actually reaping the benefits of it? You're a photographer, so maybe now you get more hits, you get more people interested in you doing photography for them, or if you're an environmentalist photographer or studio photographer. But how much are you actually making compared to how much content you're actually putting out? And if these platforms can now just say, oh well, we can take your content and sell it for our own benefit, that's major. That's it's stealing. But like I said, this is also a conversation, a more deep dive conversation for another day. But yeah, the way that people are now going about basically being frauds, honestly, in my opinion, it seems harmless until you're the one that it happens to. If you're making a song, and this is the biggest thing about copyright claims, and how people, even with the whole Twitch thing, how people are really upset at how Twitch kind of did their new copyright claim, and they're taking down any video or any Twitch stream of you live streaming with music that isn't yours or that isn't free. And that hurts a lot of people. But it's understandable. If you sat down and you created a song, a 4, maybe 3.5 minute song, sometimes you realize, oh, this actually takes longer than I expected. If you're doing it, especially if you're doing it all yourself, my gosh, and the amount of money that you can make off of it, and the amount of headache you can get from it it's unimaginable. And then for that to have someone just play it, okay, cool, they're playing my song, but now they're actually making money just off of playing my music, and I can't reap any of that benefit. I just went through all this BS, and I can't get any of this any really royalty from them using my music. It's understandable, honestly. But and that kind of gets into my next steps in this audio environment. I kind of want this podcast to be more general. It's gonna go from music, but I want it to be general to where, all right, we can talk about anything on here, and I plan on having more guests in the future. Right now, with the whole pandemic and everything, it's extremely difficult. And on top of that, I moved back to Philly, and I may end up moving again in the next 2 months. We'll see. So, it's going to be a little difficult, but I think the new podcast that I'm creating, I think will be able to target a smaller market. And you know, I have a idea. I have a plan on what I want to do for this next step in my life, and taking things more seriously, actually trying to show real results from what I'm doing, not just for myself anymore. And a lot of people used to say that to me all the time, but it takes time to really want to branch out, you know. And I really see this step as a fresh start. I kind of went into a, you know, reset mode the past few months, and now I'm kind of, everything's kind of coming to fruition. I'm kind of getting out of it, and now I'm going into this fresh start mode where, you know, I'm revamping. I'm going to revamp this podcast. I'm getting a new logo. Probably going to try to use a different microphone from now on, just because I want everything to feel different. I'm going to start doing video with this one, and then the other podcast that I will be showing soon is going to be called Fake Coffee. Why? We'll get to that in the future. It's going to be my little experiment. I'm going to work really hard with what I want to do with that. So thank you guys for listening once again, and I'm going to be doing some music reviews soon. I have a few that I want to do in the future. One with Burna Boy. He just came out album I think a week or two ago, and I think I'm gonna do some others. I saw Kim just came out with a new album called Love Always Wins. I think that was this week. Yes, it was. So I'm definitely gonna start doing more music reviews on this one, and look out for the other podcasts. If you're on my Instagram, you'll see I posted a few logo ideas, so we'll see how that goes. And for now, I hope you guys are safe, and I'm out.